I need to say something that a lot of people are dancing around, and I'm done pretending it's not the core problem. There's a really dangerous assumption baked into how people talk about what's happening in this country right now, especially when it comes to Trump and the direction things are being pushed. And that assumption is this, that if things get bad enough, someone else will step in. They won't. And that's the part no one is talking about. If you've ever watched those YouTube what if videos, the ones that talk about what would happen if another country tried to invade the United States, you've probably noticed something interesting. They almost never say the U.S. would win because of pure military strength. They say the U.S. would be nearly impossible to occupy because of scale, because of sheer size, because this country is massive. You've got mountains, deserts, dense forests, frozen tundra, swamps, urban sprawl, rural nothingness that goes on forever. An invading force wouldn't just be fighting a military. They'd be fighting terrain, logistics, distance, weather, and time. That's why those videos always conclude the same way. Holding the U.S. would be the impossible part. Now here's the part people don't want to connect. That exact same reality means no one is coming to save us if we do this to ourselves. If the United States slides into something that looks like authoritarian rule, or worse, other countries are not going to roll tanks across the ocean and liberate us. They're not going to parachute in heroes. They are going to do exactly one thing. They're going to close their borders. They're going to protect their own people. They're going to say, fix your own mess. History doesn't give out rescue missions for self-inflicted collapse, and pretending otherwise is comforting, but it's a lie. If we turn inward, if power consolidates, if dissent gets criminalized, if the military gets pointed at civilians instead of threats, there is no external reset button, no cavalry, no heroic ending where the world swoops in and restores democracy for us. And that's why what Trump is doing, and what people around him are openly planning, is not just politics. It's not another election cycle. It's a stress test on whether this country corrects itself before the damage becomes structural. Because once the military, law enforcement, and federal power are turned inward as tools of control instead of protection, things don't just snap back. They grind, they normalize, they harden. And then people start saying things like, well, this is just how it is now. That's how you don't get tanks rolling down streets, but you still lose your country. And I want to be really clear about something uncomfortable. If this goes far enough, it doesn't end in some clean movie version of resistance or liberation. It ends messy, fragmented, poor, disconnected. It ends with infrastructure failing, communities isolated, information controlled, and people forced to rely on whatever power structure is closest, not the one that's just. That's how Mad Max stops being fiction and starts being a warning about collapse, not action fantasy. Not because the world ended, but because society did. And here's the thing people don't want to hear. Standing up now is the least dangerous option, not later, not once it's obvious, not when it gets really bad. By then, the tools to stand up are already gone. The reason protest matters, the reason dissent matters, the reason people are in the streets right now is because once authoritarian power fully locks in, resistance doesn't look like marshes. It looks like survival. And nobody should want to live in that version of this country. This isn't about left versus right. It's not about party loyalty. It's about whether we stop pretending someone else will fix this for us. Because they won't. No country is coming to bail us out. No ally is invading to save democracy. No external force is undoing a collapse we choose not to confront. If this gets fixed, it gets fixed by people standing up now. While speech still exists, while protest is still possible, while organizing isn't criminalized. History doesn't reward comfort. It doesn't reward denial. It rewards people who recognize the cliff before they go over it. And if you're watching this thinking, this feels extreme, good, that discomfort is the point. Support people who are already resisting now, because later isn't brave. It's just late. And I want to end with this, because this part matters just as much as everything I've said so far. These are the kinds of conversations I want to be having, out loud in real time. Not just in videos like this. Not just when something explodes in the news cycle. All the time. That's why I keep pointing people to my Twitch. Because Twitch isn't about the game I'm playing. It's not about whether I'm crafting, fixing something, or just messing around on stream. The activity on screen is background. The conversation is the point. These are the talks I want to have while I'm gaming, while I'm working with my hands, while I'm doing craft work, building, fixing, or just existing in a shared space. Hard conversations. Uncomfortable conversations. The what happens if we don't deal with this now? Conversations. Not shouting matches. Not debate bro nonsense. But real talk. The kind where people think, question, and actually listen. If you're watching this and thinking, yeah, someone needs to be talking about this, then I want you there. Even if you never watch a full stream. Even if you never type in chat. Even if you just listen while doing your own thing. Following on Twitch helps build a space where these conversations don't disappear the moment the video ends. Because this doesn't get solved by one speech. It gets solved by people staying engaged, consistently, instead of tuning out once it gets uncomfortable. So if you want a place where these topics don't get buried, where you can ask questions, push back respectfully, or just sit with the weight of it all, that's what I'm trying to build. Game on screen, craft in my hands, reality on the table. That's the space.